Hello all, welcome to the Council for Creative Education's and University of Uvascula's joint venture for the 10th International Symposium on Creative Education Technologies. My name is Heram Kulkarni. I'm a director at CCE Finland, as well as I'm a researcher at university. And along with me today, we have two eminent personalities. And one of the key person of this entire conference will be Professor Vesa Lappalainen. Hello, Vesa. Welcome.
Professor.
Dr. Vesa Lappalainen. So, one of the key area of Vesa is he is a amazing technology wizard. He is a very good, whenever I visit University of Uvascula, I haven't met a single student who has not been his student. So we can see that he has been a kind of into the mainly software programming. He has developed his own softwares, and he is the kind of a guru of developing various edtech solutions and softwares. And today we are going to hear him in detail. And along with him, we have Denis. Denis, welcome to this webinar. And we are having you will be presenting about Team Platform, interactive technological platform for edutech solutions, and we will have it. But prior to that, one important aspect is to just give a brief overview of what is happening at the conference, and I will just give a short update on the various ideas, what is happening, and then Vesa and Denis will start the presentation. So I hope that everybody of you are going through the house space, which is our platform for interacting together. So we have 12 days left now for the conference. So we are really excited to have you all here. And in the house space, you will find that you all are commenting, sharing your ideas. And thank you very much for that. This analytics is 3 days old. I will update the new analytics very soon, but thank you very much for your quick, active networking. I can see almost 10 of you have already updated your profiles, but we are looking for more updates. As of now, we have 69 participants who are registered on the house space. We are still 35 more. We are expecting more. We have also invited some of our schools, so they will be also joining us here. So we have quite a good number of participants joining us here. And I can see that there are many of the active ones who are here. Sumalini ma'am, very good. Thank you very much. You are quite active. Nilu, Elisa, well done. Thank you. You guys are really active. And I'm looking forward to have you here. Now about the creative hack and the Creative Hack 2023 with the objective where we are looking forward the teachers, researchers, and educators' input to develop this hackathon. This is not a typical hackathon which happens at the software industry where they start decoding and coding immediately. But this is a hackathon mainly for the teachers, educators, researchers, so that you can come up with your problem statements. We started this initial introduction with the 3 problem statements where we discussed briefly about the AI issues. We discussed about the post-COVID-19 issues, as well as we also asked all the participants to come up with your own ideas. What kind of application or what kind of solution you would like to come up in the future, and how we can design those things during the hackathon. So the idea here is that we will have our themes of the conference. Based on that, one of the theme is developing your own course content, designing your own lesson plans, as well as coming up with your own learning solution. So first of all, thank you very much that you have really worked well onto this interactive media. And so to make it possible, we have already published the schedule of the conference. You can see it here. It is getting updated. This is not a final schedule. This is getting updated day by day because there are many more presentations and workshops are being organized. There are amazing content in 4 days that you will see here. And we are looking forward to having you all here presenting your own work, research, at the same time getting the feedback from others as well. So I hope that you can go through this part. And now coming to today's main topic of creative hackathon, we are giving various opportunities for the teachers and educators to interact with various learning environments. I'm sure that most of you are already having your own LMS. You are already having your education apps, and each of these apps have its pros and cons. There is not a single app which you can say that this includes everything. Otherwise, the app becomes very cumbersome. What is really important is to understand the pedagogical implications, or how we can be able to design that app pedagogically. And this is the main objective of this hackathon. So to make that easier, we are just today starting with the first introduction of the Teams tool. We expect that all the participants should come up with their own tools. You can welcome to present like this within this platform. We can organize your webinars like this, as well as once you are at the hackathon also, you can present your ideas there as well. But the main requirement is that you have to form your own team. So you should be able to present your case study or problem statement and try to attract at least a couple of more participants within your team, which we will use during the hackathon. So please make sure that you try to pitch in your idea and problem. I can see that some of you have already shared your problem statements and hackathon ideas here. But as we go ahead, I would like to see more and more ideas coming here, and I need to see at least the problem statements which are coming here. So thanks, Elisa, thanks, Somalini, thanks, N, Nimri, and Nilu for sharing your ideas on the problem statements, what you would like to work on. But please be more active and proactive, because this is a conference. You will see that this is a more participant-centric conference. So it is really important that you should participate and come up with the various new ideas. So with this initial introduction, I encourage everyone to participate actively. And now I will give this mic to Denis and Vesa for starting the presentation. Thank you very much.
Thank you for having us. I'll share my screen, so I'll have some. So I'll be demonstrating Tim today and having something else to show. So please bear with me for a moment. There we go. There we have it. So I'll just hide some things so they don't bother me. Sorry. Right. So first of all, I'd like to preface that if you have any questions, then feel free to ask them. Maybe in the chat. I might not be able to. Well, I won't be, unfortunately, be able to answer them during the presentation, but certainly, I think Vesa might have some time to answer, and me as well. But without further ado, so again, thank you for having us. So my name is Denis, and I am a university teacher at the University of Jyväskylä, and I am also one of the maintainers for the TIM system that we use here at the University of Jyväskylä. And if you want to follow along, if you want to see the slides for yourself, then feel free. There's a link below it and a QR code. These are the very same slides, and in fact, these slides have been made with TIM. So that's one of the features of the system. So first, I'd like to mainly. So as I said, I mainly will be presenting, and Vesa might also comment on some things here and there that I might miss. But first, I'd like to tell you a little bit about TIM, what it is. So just briefly, a brief outline. So the front page, the main page of TIM is tim.u.fi. it's abbreviated for, it's an abbreviation for the interactive material. And in essence, it's a general purpose learning content management system. It's quite a long name, yes, but in essentially, it has the features of a content management system like WordPress, so you can create pages and publish them, and have interactive elements. But what we do focus on specifically is the learning content. So with Tim, you can create all kinds of highly interactive materials that are aimed specifically at learning. And Tim was first released in 2014, and in fact, the very first material that was released there was for Vesa's Programming 1 course. If you want to have a look here you can see the link. It's a very long one, but it's a very long material, but that was one of the reasons Tim was created. Before the programming courses were kind of the materials for the programming course that we had here at the University of Jyväskylä, it was kind of hosted elsewhere. There was a printed version, and then there was like a version that was a normal web page that was kind of cumbersome to update. And because of that, this Tim was created. And just to emphasize, Tim is maintained by a lot of people. I'm one of them, but the initial work that was done for Tim and is still done today is by Vesa. So Vesa has a lot of ideas that we have in Tim is from Vesa and made for specifically for the purposes of programming. But the main ideas of Tim is that everything in Tim is essentially documents. Everything that you put in, whether it's a material, whether it's like a set of assignments, or maybe if it's, for example, in Tim, you can create groups of students that you can manage, and essentially that group of students is also managed by documents. You have a document where you can specify the settings pertaining to that group. So essentially what we try to do is keep everything like kind of try to relate it to like real life documents, a real life paper that you could have, but having it be essentially digital. Tim is also, we aim to have all kinds of so many features in Tim that essentially, so that's essentially every kind of content that you have, whether it's like materials or tasks or notes or exams, that they can all be in one place in Tim, so that you wouldn't have to use any other system to maybe host maybe some kind of codes, or maybe some other system that would do automatic assessments. No, everything, we try to make it so that everything can be done in Tim. And because of that, the Tim itself is very, very highly customizable. We have different templates that you can use. Everything is based on essentially templating. There are also macros, so you can actually make web pages or materials that dynamically change the contents based on what student does or what kinds of permissions a student has, so that it allows to kind of like more or less program your own materials. And of course we have theming, so you can make your materials look the way you want to. And it's open source, so if you want to contribute, so if you're interested in contributing in any kind of way, we always welcome it. But this is just scratches the surface of what Tim is. But if you're interested, then you can get more information at the link below. Right, but that's for the brief introduction of Tim, and next we'll go for an actual demo. So I'll try to cover some things, but a lot of things won't be covered. First of all, I'd like just to show what I'll be demoing. So my goal is to maybe show the basics of making a single course in Tim, of making a few pages of how to make tasks in Tim, maybe how to do basic assessments in Tim, and how to essentially make the very minimal course, that you can then work on. Let me actually show you what we're trying to do here today. So we're trying to make a very basic homepage. It's very minimal, but of course you can add more components to it, images, tables, etc. And then we'll also make a simple menu to Tim that you can use to that the students can then use to navigate the page. We'll also make a basic assignment page where there are just different kinds of assignments. Well, I'll show you how to make like a very basic like programming assignments, then a basic text assignment, how to essentially annotate it. We'll see if we have time for that. Then basic multiple choice questions, and if we have time, I might also show like the very basics of the learning analytics that we can do in Tim. For example, collecting the average number of points that all students have, for example, gained from these 3 tasks. But there are lots of these different task types in Tim, a lot of them, and because of that, we won't have time to cover all of them. So, for example, we're able to, for example, render 3D images. We're able to make drag and drop tasks. Sorry, if I remember correctly, yes, you can make drag and drop tasks. You can again make mathematical. Do mathematical computation with Maxima. You can do very simple dragging tasks, and you can even integrate like the whole graphing calculators into Tim. So, but unfortunately, we might not have time to show all of it. But nevertheless, there are a lot of guides that we have in Tim. Unfortunately, some of them are in Finnish because we mainly cater to Finnish audience so far. But so sorry for that. But I'm sure for now, if you are interested in extra guides we have, then they might need to be automatically translated, for example, with Google Translate. Right. But without further ado, let's start with essentially making this. And I just show it one more time. Actually, sorry, I think I closed this. So if you're interested in looking at the final results at the same page, how it will look like, here is the link that you can type in. So r.u.fi/CAT23 Tim_demo. It will show you the same page, but I'll just show you how to make it. But as I said, we won't have time to make other things. There's a lot of things that Tim can do, starting from automatic assessments, from like very deep learning analytics to you can make message lists for students, you can make groups, you can hold live lectures in Sim, you can even like typeset your materials into like proper PDFs, that's very good looking PDFs, and there are a lot of plugin types, but we'll just cover the very basics that they are. Right. So let me start. So I'll just start with the basic of how to essentially log into Tim, because if you're interested in Tim, then of course you can log in, you can make your account. So I went to tim.u.fi, and that's the main page of Tim. And if you are interested in the guides, as I said, we have all the information are here below. You can click on the links. There are more guides on how to use them, and there are also some practical examples that you can look at. But without further ado, I'll just click on the top, the login button, and we have different types of logins. So if you are a member of some Finnish university, then we have a very simple login system for that, but you don't need to be a member of any university. You can also just make a simple a very simple, you can make your own account. So I'll just go with that. I'll click on sign up and it will ask you for your email. And I specifically made an email for that, if I remember it correctly. So just any email will work. And Tim will send you a temporary password that you can use for the first time login. Let's see if it comes. It might take a brief moment. We'll see if it works. Last time I checked, it did work. It might take a moment or two usually, but essentially, when it comes, it will look essentially like this. Your password is some string of numbers that you can use to essentially continue with your login. But unfortunately, it looks like it doesn't come as fast for this particular email, but it's fine. We can continue without that for the time being. But once you've typed in the password, it will ask you to type in your full name if you want, and it will ask you to make your permanent password that you can then use to log in from now on. But it's fine. It doesn't let me log in this time, but we'll continue then with my own account. Actually, yes, I'll just proceed with login with my own account. It's fine. That's it. This is how it looks if you log in with the university account. But nevertheless, once you've logged in, you will see there will be there'll be more different kinds of links. So we have, again, the same guides. There are more examples that you can explore. And most importantly, you will have the access to create your own documents in TIM. So the very first thing that we're going to do, there's in the Get Started section, there is the My Documents folder, and it will actually take you to the folder that has your own documents. So for example, for me, I have a lot of my folders and documents, but if you just created an account, it will most likely be empty. In fact, I'll just open a few folders just to create a space when and there we go. So this is the example course, but I just want to go over briefly about, actually, let's create a empty folder so that you can see how it looks for a normal case. So if you just created your account and you just went to My Documents, you will see there are no items to show. And the very first thing which we can do is we can, of course, create the course. So what I did, so below here we have a create a new document button and create a new folder button. And I proceed to just let's create just a new folder. You can specify a title. You can use any kinds of characters that you want. The below will show a short name. A short name is used for the actual links that the students will use to then come to that folder page. But I'll create the folder. There's a button below, and it will show empty. But if you look at the address bar, it does show that it automatically goes to the page which has the it automatically goes to the folder that we just created. And now, if you are unsure, again, in which folder you are, then here in the top right next to the TIM logo, there is this View button, which will open an advanced menu. So there's some things are hidden because not all, usually students don't need to see this, but for a teacher, this might be beneficial to show the whole TIM menu. And here you can see the breadcrumbs. So it shows the full path to the folder where you are at now. So now that I created like a simple course folder, the first thing I want to do is to ensure who can actually access it. And in TIM, what you can do, you can, right next to the view, tab. So in this extended menu, there is a Manage tab. The same tab is actually present also in Documents, but once I click on it, we have different kinds of options available to for you to manage your folder. There are folder rights. There you can change the folder title. You can actually turn on notifications to get different kinds of emails depending on whether your document changes or somebody posts a comment to the document. You can edit the documents, the folder's locations, and you can even copy the entire folder to another place if you want to. So next, I'll just make sure that anyone who's logged in can access it, because at least in my, I want to keep my course open for everyone. So the first thing I do is there are different types of rights that you can give. So the view right is the most basic one. It gives anyone who is in this right, who has the view rights, naturally can essentially just view your folder or view your documents without being able to edit them. So I click on the view link, and it asks you to specify the users if you know someone specific who you want to give the rights to, or a group of people. But in this case, I'll just want to add all logged in users. So below here, we have this all add logged in users, which gives rights to everyone who's logged in. So I clicked on that, and now all logged in users are able to access the documents using this very link that I have. But that's not it. I want to do some other few edits to this. So next I'll go to this default rights. So when you create a new folders or new documents in this course folder, I also want to set default rights for them, because if I don't, then only I will get rights to see those documents or folders that I create. So I'll just click on this default rights tab and just repeat the process. Click on the view and add rights to logged in users. So now every document that I create in this folder will be automatically accessible by all logged in users. And the same thing I'll do for the new folders for the purposes of this document. There are different kind of rights, so I won't go over deeply into this rights management. We have different types of rights. You can make the rights timed. They can be timed for a specific date, or they can be timed by different durations. So for example, it can be open like for the 4 hours since the first time a student, for example, opens the document. But nevertheless, I go back to the view, to the main view, and we actually see that there is a new folder that got automatically created. As I mentioned, everything in SIM usually is a document, and even the configurations that I set for these default rights, they're also documents. I'll just show you. As we have this default documents rights and folder rights, they're also, in a sense, documents. So this is kind of, again, the idea of TIM. So, but nevertheless, I'll go ahead and create a new document in this folder. So I'm in course 2 folder, and I create a new document, and we'll just make a simple home page for us. So home page. There you go. Just a type. Yeah, title is fine. We just press create documents. And when it's created, that's how it looks. So by default, there is naturally no text, and there's just a button to add a paragraph. If you want, it allows you to review the rights of this specific document. As we can see, it automatically gave the rights to logged in users, just like I wanted. But if I wanted to, I could go to the same Manage tab and change the rights again. But nevertheless, let's go ahead and add some content to the homepage. So I'll go ahead and press an add paragraph, which will open our text editor. Now, it might look a little bit different for you, depending, because for me, I have different kind of settings on my account that's already makes it pre-configured, but it's most likely should look by default like this. So it's a simple text box. Which is pretty like normal editor. So there are different tabs which have different kinds of helper buttons. They have different kind of templates. We will look over some of them. And below we have different settings for this editor. For example, this text editor is just normal, but We can also change it to a more nicer looking programmer editor. It's the same editor, but it has different a little bit different kinds of features. This Ace editor, it's more nice if you again write programs. But I'll just go back to this normal one for now because the font size is a bit better. Right, so as you might have noticed, I already wrote some text. So this is a text, and right away when I wrote it, I got a preview. So the way it works is that you write your text in text form, but you get a preview in TIM. And if you want, you have a special detach button right next to this preview, which allows you to actually move this preview to somewhat better. So the idea in TIM is that you can edit the documents, but while you're editing, you are able to easily view the contents of the original page. Right, so I'll just attach it back because I prefer it usually this way. And let's add some text. So in TIM, you might notice that this isn't a normal kind of like words type of editor. So if I write, for example, if I want to write a title to home page, so I can't just, there isn't a direct header selector. So, but what we can do, that we can go to, oh, sorry, I'll scratch that. We do have a button for the headings, but what I wanted to point out is that what we do in TIM is that we use a special kind of syntax for writing, for styling this document. So for example, if I want to write a header, what I do is I write this hashtag and then one space, and it creates heading. So for those who are familiar with it, this kind of syntax that we use, it's called markdown, but you don't need to know what it is and how it works. If you really, if you want to, you can use, again, at least these buttons to affect the style. So for example, if I write like, welcome to course, if I want to bold it, then I can select it, and this in the style tab, I can press bold, which will again make it bold. So, but as you can see, it doesn't make it bold here. Instead, it adds like this special asterisk. And what you might notice is that after some time, after you have worked with this, you might notice that actually it's much easier to just write this. So the whole point of this is that it makes maybe a little bit better, easier to see what parts of the text are styled in different kind of ways. So sometimes in Word it might be like difficult to see like what kind of text is bolded or where the bolding starts or ends. Here it's kind of obvious. Right, so but let's add some more text. Let's add a second heading. So if I wanted to add a heading with a lower level, I go and add two hashtags. So course info. So there I have course info. So, and finally, now if it looks fine to me, I can save it, and there we have it. We have this content of the page. And sorry, I was a bit too fast. I clicked away the orange bar. Let me actually show what it means. Sorry, it came by reflex to me. So another point of TIM is that every part of the documents that you write, actually I see I have a typo here, but every part of the document that you write gets these kind of red bars. And the point of these are that the students who read the documents, he can actually click this and mark that, okay, I read this part of the documents and this is done for me. And this way the student actually see their progress, and actually it also collects some learning analytics for us that we can use. And additionally, the students, if you, for example, I edit this text. So actually about editing, sorry, again, I was a bit too fast. So now this, if I wanted to edit it, I clicked on the paragraphs I wanted to edit, and I get this edit menu button on the left side. If I click on it, I'm sorry, on the right side. If I click on it, I get this edit menu, this context menu, and there is an edit button which will open this same editor. And now if I fix it, so let's course and save it. There we go. Now we see that this changed because so, and that's this way is students can also track changes easily. Right, but that goes for the main, this basic editing. So let's create, let's make a simple assignment page. Now there are different ways. Now what I could do now is I could go back. So notice that all the links here in the breadcrumbs are also, all this text in the breadcrumbs are also linked. So I can go back to the previous folder this way. Now we have this homepage, but and I could create a new folder, a documents, but another way to create documents in Tim is actually to just create links to them. So what I do is I add a new paragraph for Tim to the document, and I'll just create a link. And one way to create a link is to remember how to do it, but another way is to go to this insert tab and click on the link, and it gives you a very basic template. So here we go. Here we have the link text. So assignment 1, and here is the path. So when it comes to the path, it's kind of specific in a way. The paths can't have spaces usually, but that's mainly like the only limitation here. So when you write, so now I'm writing a path. So if we create an assignment folder and create a assignment 1 document, so now we created essentially a link that will go to folder named assignments and to the document named assignment 1, and I'll save it. Now, if I click on the link here, then it will say that it will go to the correct place, right? The course, we are in the course 2, assignment 1. And it said that the page does not yet exist. So, and it does give you the option to create it. So let's create it. So assignment 1, I just changed the title of it, and there we have create document, and it creates a new document. And we can go again, add new paragraph. So there you go, assignments. There you go. And let's add a very simple assignment. So again, to add an assignment, I add a new paragraph. And I can either go ahead and look up in the guides, so on how to make different types of assignments, but there are also different kinds of templates. So in this plugins tab, we call our assignments or tasks, interactive tasks in Tim are usually, we call them plugins. So I went to the plugins tab, and there are a lot of different types of templates that you can use, but I'll go to the programs and I'll just make I'll take a simple Python program template, and we'll get this kind of text. Now, the way it works is that we have the special syntax for the plugins. So all plugins starts with backticks, and then have this definition line, which includes this text plugin, which tells Tim what plugin it is. And we also have plugin names. So whenever you make a task, you must give it some kind of name. So I can give it task 1. Let's see. So there we have it, task 1. And as for these contents are the settings that we specify for these tasks. And the settings are specified in a way that this first part is always the name of the setting, and then it follows by a colon, a space, and then a value. So, for example, what this means is that we created a plugin which is named, we created a task that uses so-called CS plugin, and the CS plugin is a plugin for programming tasks. And we say that the type of a programming language that this task uses is Python. It's PY. And here we have this program, right? What it is, it's a program template that a student might get by default. So let's just empty that. In fact, what I want to do is I want to add some imports. So what you can do is you can, of course, add any kind of templates that you want, and each is included in the program. But what I also want to do is I want to add some headers and some text for the tasks. So usually in all plugins, you can add this kind of header option and specify a name. It's a task 1. So now we have a header, and we also have an option named stem. So here you can write this task text. So for example, write a program, sorry, let me check what it was. Write a program that prints, for example, all integers 0 to thousands, for which there's square root is also an integer. For example, like this, very simple. So as we can see, we have this very simple task, and we get this text. So one thing that you might notice that some of these buttons are in Finnish, but we can fix it by adding an option of lang en, because you can usually, and you can also change this text of these buttons if you want. So they can be localized in any way that you might need. So now I saved it, and now we have a very basic task. And you can, and the main thing of Tim is that, another main thing of Tim, sorry, is that everything that you usually write in Tim, it's usually, any kind of tasks that you do, they are usually saved. So for example, if now I write some kind of simple program, for example, like prints hello, and run it, it takes a small moment to run, right? It took a bit longer than usual, not sure why, but what you see is that we get this option, this kind of answer browser. So now, for example, I change my answer a little bit, change hello to, and run it again, and actually what we get another answer try. So Tim actually saves all the answer attempts, and which allows you to essentially essentially track what students have done. Now, what you could do, you could also review the answers of students. I'm just looking at the time and see if I have any. Right. I'll just show you the basic idea of reviewing the answers. In Tim, you of course can do automatic assessments. If you look at the demo that I showed on this page, you should have the permission to edit the demo page that I showed earlier, and you can see the full code there. But I showed there how to add a very basic automatic assessment, which just checks that whatever the student printed matches.
Dennis, go to teacher page.
Yes. Now, so yeah, we'll go now to the teacher page. So the teacher page, which shows essentially all the answers of essentially shows all answers of all people. So for example, here we see that we have Vesa, who actually sends an answer. Here I can choose the answer either from here, or I can choose them from here. The difference is that this specific selector is for this task, but if I had multiple tasks, I could like switch the user for essentially for all tasks. But now we have, for example, Vesa, who has multiple answers, and I, for example, I just directly point to them. I can say that, okay, this is fine to me, 1 point. But of course, for a programming task, it might not make sense. For a programming task, you might want to add some automatic assessment to it to see how it works. In fact, I'm not sure if I have the time to add it, but as I said, from the demo, you might see how that works. Of course, as a teacher, you can, of course, also export all answers. So there's an option to actually view all answers separately. So if you want to, for example, export your answers and, for example, review them somewhere else, or maybe review them all at once, you can click on all answers, and it allows you to essentially filter all answers and view them on a separate page. But I also, if I really want to, I can change Vesa's answer if I really want to. So if I click on the Save Teachers Fix option, then I can actually, for example, add a comment This is good. Of course, might not be the ideal way of adding comment of assessing, but there are other ways. But this is one way that can be used. So if I press run now, it actually will save it as another answer attempt, which isn't graded. Right. So this is like the very basic. Another thing that I want to show really quickly in regarding to questions, the very common question types that everyone usually wants to make is some kind of multiple choice question, or a question where there's just some kind of text. And for that, we have a very simple interface for which you don't need to go into code. So if I, for example, click on this task and click again, open edit menu, and notice that I can add a new paragraph above this component, this text, but I also can add a new question. So if I press on add a new question above, it actually opens a very nice looking interface where you can actually design your question type. So who is better? Like who is better? Then you can select different types of questions. There are a lot of them. I, for example, chose a radio button, and I could write the options here. So, for example, cat or dog. Right, I can add points to these to the answers. I can add explanations, and I can add more options. So now I'll just remove these unneeded options. You can set the answer limits, and as I said before, that in Sim you can actually have live lectures. Then you can actually make these live lecture questions if you want to. But for now, I'll just save it, and we just get a very basic question. Right. The very last thing that I think I have time to show is, I think, which might come in handy if you're interested in Tim, is how to actually make course navigation. So if now that I have, and I show the basics of templating. So now we have two pages. We have this home page, we have the assignments folder. So now I clicked on this course 2, which brought me back to the course 2 folder. So now I have the home page, I have the assignment folder, and I have an assignment 1 page. So what I want to do, I want to add some kind of navigation for this. And we actually, luckily, we already have the templates folder, but if it didn't, I could have created it. And now I opened it and would just create a few folders for that. So inside here, so I'll create a folder named actually preambles. It's actually quite nicely suggests me to create it, and inside that folder I create a document named preamble. There we go. And the important thing of this special document is that whatever content that I put here, for example, content, I save it, and if I go back to any page inside this folder, for example, home page, I'll see this very same content. So this preamble document is special in a sense that it will get added to every single document in this folder. So what I could do now that I clicked on edit, there we go. And what I could do is I click on the insert tab and the menus, and we have a good example of Tim menu. So I clicked on Tim menu and it's opened like a very big template with an example of how to make a menu. Again, there are different options, but the main thing are here. So we have an example of making menu. So let's make a very simple menu very quickly. So let's have the very first link, the very first item be a link, and the next item be a drop down which has text assignments, and we have, for example, assignments 1. And there we have it. There we go. And we create, and then we also make a home page. Now, there you go. So we can see already that in the preview that it looks pretty well. So we have a home page of the first item, then we have this assignments drop down, and notice that we use a bit of spacing. So when you define these plugins, the spacing becomes important. So the spacing can affect how these plugins are, how the options are passed or how they are handled. So, but the only thing we don't have are the links. Now, what we could do, we could just paste in the links directly from here, but it might be a bit difficult. What if we want to, for example, reuse this course another year? then it might be a bit, and we might otherwise copy this course somewhere else. It might be difficult to just go ahead and update all these items again. So what we can do, we can actually use this templating that I mentioned briefly. So let's save this. And what I'll do next, I'll open the menu that is on the top left side of Tim. And there you can add bookmarks. That's what I forgot to mention. You can have bookmarks in Tim. But what I do is I'll go into document settings and I click on edit settings. And what it does is it opens a special document settings block. Here you can specify different kind of settings. For example, if you want to use themes in your documents, you can specify that you want to use some kind of theme here. But what I'll do, I'll specify a special options named macros. And what this allows me to do is specify different kinds of variables, different kind of values that I can use throughout the page. So what I'll do, let me create a home, for example, home dir named variable, again, colons, and here I'll put the value. And for the value, what I'll do, I'll take my URL, remove the view part, and just copy this part, everything like after view up to the course2. So this is the path essentially to this course2 folder. I just copy it and paste here. And now, interestingly, what I can do, I'll just close the menu for a moment and I click on this and open the editor. Now I open the editor for the home menu. What I can do is actually can use this value here. So what I'll do, I'll specify the link of view because we want to view the documents, and then I'll use this percent marks. And what I can do is now I can write the name of the variable, the name of the macro that I just made, and write the name of the document. If I remember correctly, the name of the home page, it was home-page. Notice that I need to use this URL instead of the name of the document. And let's do the same here, but say assignments 1. There we go. And the interesting thing about this is that now that I save it, it will actually, and just in case, I'll just refresh it. Now, what it will do, if you take a look at the bottom of the screen, the bottom left side, you can see that the link actually does get expanded. So what Tim did is it actually took the macros we defined and inserted it in the document. And what this essentially allows you to do is define these small parts of the document that you want to change really easily. Essentially, just creates essentially really easy, for example, different variations of the same course or the same kinds of documents. Right. So now we have like a very basic page, essentially very basic, very minimal. And I think we're a little bit running out of time. So unfortunately, I did want to show you some more things regarding assessments or learning analytics, how to make graphs, for example, or how to collect the answers. But unfortunately, I don't think we have quite enough time for that. And because of that, I'll just show you a few more things, few last things from here. So, as I said, there are more guides. If you are interested in viewing all the guides, it's r.u.fi/team-guides. It contains all kinds of guides on how to essentially create different kind of tasks. And as a final note, if you are interested in using Tim, as I said, that there are so many things that we just can't show it in just 45 minutes. And because of that, don't hesitate to contact us. So our email address is tim@u.fi or fi. And we have Vesa, we have me and 2 other developers there ready to help you to design your course, to maybe help you with materials. And if I remember, and we will be also present on the 20th during the workshops to also help you in there physically with Tim if you decide to use it. And as I mentioned before, here's the demo course, this demo course that's I attempted to make today. And we also have a much larger example, which has like a pretty much ready course with multiple tasks, with actually proper learning analytics page, with an exam page. If you're interested, please have a look at it. But seeing as I'm kind of running out of time, I thank you. And now for the few moments that we might have, I'm happy to answer any questions that you might have. So, but thank you.
Thanks a lot. It was very interesting to see and capabilities. I think you just give the introductory scratching the surface. I think there are a lot of things which we could really see in detail, but there is a lot of opportunity for every one of you to practice with this tool. Just experiment. There is open accounts are there. You just create your own account. There is no money required. Just use it. And if you have any questions, please check the demos which are here, as well as you can also find the questions there. And during 20th of April, when, as Denis said, we have the teams which will be made. If those teams who select this tool, they can be able to experiment, and as well as we have support from the students as well as teachers like Vesa and Denis on that day. So thank you. Please, anyone is having question, maybe we can take a couple of questions. I think Vesa was answering questions during the chat here. I can see he was very active. So are there any questions? Please raise your hands or just unmute your microphone and just say something. If not, please feel free to use house space for questions, as well as you can send email, and we will looking forward to have your interaction during the conference. So thanks, Denis, very amazing presentation, and thanks, Vesa, for answering all the questions and support. And for all the audience, thank you very much for your active participation today. And we are coming up with a few more webinars like this before the conference. Mainly, if you have any questions about your whereabouts, once you land in Helsinki or in Jyväskylä, those who are coming directly to the conference venue on 19th April, please feel free to contact us. We are more than happy to support you. Our entire team is really geared towards welcoming you all, and we'll have amazing conference coming up. So with this, I really thank Denis and Vesa for your contribution today, and looking forward to meeting you all. Thank you very much. We can stop this meeting today. Bye-bye.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.